we are going to discuss about topic ecosystem service, that is pollination. Mainly here ecosystem, there are different services are there, ecosystem services. Among all those services, we are going to discuss about a small topic, that is pollination. First we will study about definition of pollination. Next, uses of pollination. Third, pollinator definition. Fourth, types of pollinators. Then afterwards, so pollination, how it is helping to get agricultural yield in different countries, different places. So first, definition of pollination. Pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of the gynoecium or flower is known as pollination. Here, pollen grains usually released from anther of the stamen. That pollen grains usually they consist of male gametes. These pollen grains, they are carried to stigma of the flower. That mechanism, that process is called pollination. Uses of pollination. Usually we are getting different types of food materials, food grains, fruits, vegetables. All these we are getting because of pollination. So usually after pollination, fertilization takes place. After fertilization, we can find in the plant, especially in the ovary region, grains or seeds or fruits, vegetables, the different all edible items will form. So because of pollination, imagine if pollination does not occur in the plant, can you expect all these food materials? We can't expect. That's why here pollination, it is playing a vital, major, important role to get different types of food grains. Pollinator, the agent which carry pollen grain from anther to stigma of the flower is known as pollinator. That pollinators mainly helps to transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Pollinators broadly divided into two types, abiotic and biotic pollinators. So here types of pollinators may be biotic, may be abiotic. So all these pollinators indirectly helping to transfer pollen grains from anther to stigma of the flower. Now at present we are going to study a statistical data which is identified by different scientists, how much percentage of particular insects or different types of pollinators involving in different areas. So mainly major pollinator that is involving in pollination mechanism, that is bees. Really the major pollinator, it is participating so a larger amount mainly in the pollination mechanism in different places. Now at present, how pollination contributing in different places to increase agricultural yield. First, in United States, in US, around 15 to 30% of food production carried by only bees. Imagine in US, total agricultural food production, 15 to 30% of food production, food grains or fruits or different edible items which are formed because of involvement of bees. They are carrying pollen grain from anther to stigma of the flower, indirectly helping to produce food. Maximum see 15 to 30%. Maximum this much larger amount of food production that is carried by bees. So remaining percentage, that is around so more than 70%, that is carried by different types of pollinators. But at present we are discussing about a major role of bees. So here bees 15 to 30%, remaining all different types of pollinators like beetles or different types of insects. So different types of invertebrate, vertebrate pollinators, they are involving remaining percentage of food production in US. So in the US region, large scale farmers mainly they are importing non-native bees. So large scale farmers, those who are growing in US, different types of crops, they are importing non-native bees from different places. Imagine they are introducing in their fields, so they are participating around a 2-3 kilometer radius. They are staying in the fields and they are participating in the pollination. In California's agriculture region, mainly it is involved because of wild bees. In California's agriculture region, so which pollinator playing a vital major role in pollination process, that is wild bees. These wild bees, they are contributing pollination process partially or completely. They are involving in pollination mechanism. Really wonderful here. Wild bees, they are partial or completely, maximum amount pollination carried by the wild bees. Next, chaparral nothing but shrubs and oak woodland. So here shrubs and oak woodland, oak trees, these two kinds of plant communities, mainly they are providing shelter for bees. chaparral shrubs and oak woodland. So oak woodland, these plant community areas, they are providing shelter for bees. They are providing habitat for bees. These two kinds of plant communities, they are covering 1 to 2 kilometers radius around them pollination mechanism. Wherever this plant community is there, like shrubs and oak woodland trees, they are providing habitat or shelter for bees, and they are participating around those plants, they are covering 1 to 2 kilometer radius, they are participating in pollination mechanism. Really wonderful. So bees, they are involving in pollination mechanism. At present we are discussing about different types of invertebrate and vertebrate animals also participating in the pollination mechanism. Around 1 lakh invertebrate animals participating in pollination mechanism. These are total invertebrate animals like bees, beetles, moths, like this different invertebrate animals. Scientists, they estimated that more than 1 lakh invertebrate species participating in all over world in pollination mechanism. So whereas in fifth point, if you'll see here, 1035 vertebrate species also participating in pollination mechanism. Like here different mammals and different types of vertebrate animals, they are participating in pollination mechanism. So here both here, that is invertebrate and vertebrate animals, all these biotic pollinators. Biotic means living beings, they participating in pollination. So abiotic pollinators also there. Water, wind also contribute in pollination mechanism. If the water involves in pollination mechanism, that is hydrophily. If the air or wind, if it involves in pollination mechanism, that is here, so wind pollination mechanism. So that otherwise known as anemophily. So recently here US Fish and Wildlife Service. It is one organization, US Fish and Wildlife Service. This service recently estimated that all over world around 50 species, that is pollinating species, they are threatened or endangered. They are going to disappear because of climatic changes or because of involvement of human beings, excessive usage of pesticides, insecticides, due to deforestation. All these around 50 species, the species, they are endangered, they are going to disappear on the earth planet. So pollinators, If like this all pollinators, if decreases, what happens here? Ultimately, so it affects on production of food in the field. So agricultural yield gradually decreases if all these pollinators number decreases. Next, since 1990, so around 25% of honeybees number, it is dropped down. So total since 1990 till today, around 25% of honeybees, bees population, it is reduced. Imagine only out of 100%, 25% bees, these insects population, it is decreased. So here what happens? 25% of agricultural yield, that is decreases in few areas, and few areas 10, 15, 20% of agricultural yield decreases because major pollinator, that is bees in many places. Now at present we are going to discuss about measures to protect pollinator. So far we discussed about pollinator. It is very important to produce fruits, grains. But day by day, because of environmental factors, because of deforestation, different reasons, day by day pollinators number gradually decreasing. Agricultural yield gradually decreases. But what type of measures we have to take to protect a pollinator? Mainly, first we have to participate in afforestation programs. Afforestation, nothing but growing different types of plants in different places. So afforestation program we have to implement. So maximum number of trees we have to grow in the different places wherever plant community is not there. Next, avoiding deforestation program. So deforestation, we have to avoid cutting down of trees. So if we'll cut trees only, they provide habitat for many pollinators. Avoiding deforestation. Next, reduce or completely avoid pesticides or insecticides. Avoid or reduce. Usually these chemical substances, that may be pesticides or insecticides, if we'll spread to kill harmful insects which are found in our field, so sometimes what happens, these pesticides or insecticides, they kill harmful insects, and as well as these chemicals also they kill useful pollinators, because many insects, they are pollinators. So these pesticides, what they will do, they kill harmful insects and as well as useful insects. Ultimately agricultural yield decreases. So we have to reduce or avoid. Next, so different methods here in the schools, different programs we have to start. Like we have to provide artificial conditions for growth of different pollinators, like butterfly garden, Next, bee box for growth of the bees. Butterfly gardens, these what they will do increases these pollinators. So here we have to follow all these methods to increase pollinators and as well as to protect pollinators. Next topic, ecosystem service, carbon fixation. In ecosystem service carbon fixation, mainly in the atmosphere, oxygen, carbon dioxide and nitrogen. These we can find in the atmosphere. This oxygen percentage, it will be around 21%, whereas carbon dioxide it is found 0.032 to 0.04% of carbon dioxide. So nitrogen 78 to 79%. But at present carbon fixation means carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide mainly it is constantly maintained in the atmosphere. So here carbon dioxide and oxygen, both the gases, they are mainly exchanged by the plants. So here plants and human beings, animals. During respiration of different animals, what happens? So carbon dioxide is released into the surroundings. That carbon dioxide is taken by the plants. So for a food material, for synthesis of glucose. So what happens? So here balancing will be there. Plants, they takes carbon dioxide during photosynthesis process. So which is comes from the living beings during respiration. So almost all these carbon dioxide and oxygen, both the gases, they will be equal proportions in the almost all in different places. It will be constant gases you can find in all the places because of plants. So photosynthesis process, how much amount of carbon dioxide taken by the plants, how much amount of sunlight energy it is used by the plants, in the form of equation you will study. We know very well about photosynthesis. Usually in photosynthesis, so what happens? Carbon dioxide, water used by the plants, presence of sunlight in chloroplast, they prepare glucose. So here there is one equation is there, how much amount of carbon dioxide used by the plant to produce organic dry matter. 264 grams of carbon dioxide used by the plants, 108 grams of water used by the plants during photosynthesis. They utilizes 677.2 kilocalories light energy used by the plants at the time of photosynthesis process. They prepares 180 grams of glucose and 293 grams of oxygen produced by the plants. So here, if you will observe carefully, so it is photosynthesis equation. So to produce this much amount of glucose, how many molecules of carbon dioxide, how many molecules of water used by the plants? If you will see carefully, 264 grams of carbon dioxide molecules and 108 grams of water, presence of light energy, that is 677.2 kilocalories light energy. Kilocalories light energy means that is solar energy. That solar energy, quantum energy used during this process, they prepare 180 grams of glucose. At the same manner, 293 grams of oxygen liberated in this process. But plants, they are consuming carbon dioxide. So here they are consuming carbon dioxide and they are liberating oxygen. That oxygen used by the plants. So here end product of this reaction, 180 grams of glucose. 180 grams of glucose, it converts into 162 grams of dry organic matter, that is polysaccharide. See, imagine 180 grams of glucose. It converts into 162 grams of dry organic matter, that is polysaccharide. So here, if we take 1 gram of dry organic matter production, they utilizes 1.63 grams of carbon dioxide from atmosphere. So here it is a mistake, 193 grams of oxygen. So total, if you will observe carefully this chart, we can understand to produce 1 gram of dry organic matter, they are utilizing 1.63 grams of carbon dioxide. So bulk amount of carbon dioxide, it is taken from the atmosphere to prepare dry organic matter by the plants. So here, because of absorption of carbon dioxide by the plant, indirectly it is reducing earth temperature. Or otherwise, if the plants are not there on the earth planet, so carbon dioxide amount gradually increases. If carbon dioxide amount gradually increases, atmospheric temperature increases and the earth temperature increases. So it leads to global warming. So global warming, it is caused because of different gases like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. If global warming takes place due to lack of plants, because of deforestation, so polar ice caps, they melt and oceans seas level increases. Many areas on the earth planet, many towns which are located nearer the oceans and seas, they submerge in the water due to increasing of carbon dioxide. Imagine So this much important role performed by the plant by reducing carbon dioxide percentage in the atmosphere. So at present up to here, whatever topic we discussed, few objective bits we'll discuss. Now at present we are going to discuss about ecosystem service, oxygen release. Mainly during photosynthesis process, carbon dioxide gas that is taken by the plants and the plants releasing by photosynthesis process, during photosynthesis process, oxygen. So it is researchers, scientists by doing research. So they given few concepts. A mature leafy tree, a mature leafy tree during a normal favorable conditions, normal season, they releases oxygen, much more oxygen. That oxygen that is enough for 10 people per 1 year. So here that much amount of oxygen produced by a mature big leafy tree. In normal favorable conditions, these plants by performing photosynthesis, they are releasing oxygen. More oxygen released by the mature leafy tree. That oxygen, it is enough for survival of 10 people 1 year. In the same manner here next, 1 acre land, 1 acre trees, they consuming annually in 1 year more amount of carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide emitted by a normal average car, if a person drives 26,000 miles distance, whatever carbon dioxide emitted, that carbon dioxide used by 1 acre trees. So imagine if a person drives a car 26,000 miles, the amount of carbon dioxide emitted or released by that car, that is total consumed by 1 acre land trees. Imagine, so how many cars are there in our world? How many plants we require to reduce this carbon dioxide? That much emission of carbon dioxide taking place from the vehicles. In the same manner, all these plants, they emits or releases oxygen. So that 1 acre trees annually whatever amount of oxygen that is produced by this, that is enough to survive 18 people for 1 year. Whatever amount of oxygen used by 18 people, that is produced by 1 acre trees. Mainly macrophytes, aquatic plants, macrophytes, they are during photosynthesis process, they are taking carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. That oxygen indirectly increasing in the dissolved water. Oxygen released by macrophytes, that is helping to survival of many aquatic organisms. So dissolved oxygen you can find in the water, that is produced by macrophytes. Mainly here blue-green algae, that is otherwise known as cyanobacteria, we can find in the water. These blue-green algae or cyanobacteria also releasing oxygen in the water. Mainly here aquatic plants and as well as phytoplanktons and terrestrial trees. All these, they are helping to release large, huge amount of oxygen into surroundings, that is into the atmosphere. That's why all these plants, next to phytoplankton, all terrestrial plants, all together known as lungs of the world, because they are taking from the atmosphere carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen. So based on all these concepts, what we understood, maximum amount of carbon dioxide, it is billion tons of carbon dioxide that is taken by total all autotrophic plants, and these carbon dioxide, it is used by the plants during photosynthesis mechanism, and all these they are releasing oxygen. So that's why, because of ecosystem service carbon consumption, ecosystem service oxygen release. So here, because of plants, in the atmosphere in general, we can find all these gases, that may be oxygen or carbon dioxide. We can find average percentage, because continuous cyclic manner these gases, they enter from atmosphere to plants to atmosphere. The cyclic manner, all these gases, they rotate. That's why we can find in atmosphere oxygen and carbon dioxide, almost all we can find constant percentage, like oxygen 21%, carbon dioxide 0.03 to 0.04%. Other ecosystem services, like different ecosystem services, they are playing vital role in the ecosystem. For example, fallen logs, fallen plant materials, they are decomposed by microbes. If they are decomposed by microbes, what happens? Different useful nutrients, whatever present in logs, plant materials, fallen leaves, branches, flowers, different parts of the plant, that is decomposed by microbes. If they decompose, what happens? Whatever mineral nutrients present in the plant materials, total all these minerals enters into the soil. So indirectly these microbes, they are playing vital role in mineral cycling. The same manner, so here flood protection, by mangroves, like Avicennia rhizophora. These plants, they are reducing floods. So Sundarbans, that is located in the West Bengal, there you can find many mangroves. They are reducing in that area floods. So that flood protection, that is contributed by mangroves. This is also one more important concept. So here water purification by microbes. So in the dissolved organic materials, mainly whatever waste organic materials found in the water, that is purified or removed by useful microbes. Like this manner, all services, they are useful to nature. At present, we are discussing about how to sustain ecological functions. How to sustain ecological functions. At present here, we have to follow different methods, different steps to sustain ecological balance. So here afforestation program, maximum we have to grow different places plants to sustain ecological balance. We have to reduce or minimize pesticides, because reduction minimizing pesticides, what happens? So we can preserve pollinators. If we will protect pollinators, indirectly pollinators, useful to get better agricultural yield. Next, we have to reduce waste products which are harmful to environment. So because of some human activities, sometimes waste products are produced huge amount. These larger amount waste products, what happens? They pollute the environment. So such type of waste products, maximum we have to reduce. Next, here we will discuss briefly about resource. Resource definition: the material which is present larger amount in the nature is called resource, that is natural resource. So these resources, they are divided into two types: non-renewable resources. Next, renewable resources. So here non-renewable resources, usually they pollute the environment. These resources we cannot replenish or reproduce. We can reproduce, but it takes larger time, more years, billion years for production of non-renewable resources like petrol, diesel, coal. They are non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, these resources after utilization, after consumption, again they are produced or reformed by the different activities. So renewable resources utilization, we have to increase. So like tidal energy, we have to increase. With the help of tides, waves, we can generate electricity. Next, wind energy. By arranging windmills, we can produce electricity. The same manner, solar energy, by fixing solar panels, we can produce electricity. Like this, we have to increase utilization of renewable resources. These resources ultimately maintain the ecosystem properly. It will not pollute the environment. The same manner, so here we have to use public transit like public transport buses. So here trains we have to use instead of uses of the people their own cars. If the people they uses own cars, what happens? So for 1 or 2 members they have to use their own car, that pollutes the environment. Instead of using their own cars, the people if they uses buses and trains, what happens? Ultimately pollution decreases. Next, so maximum if it is nearer distance that we have to walk from one place to another instead of using vehicle. So or otherwise we have to use cycle, because cycle it will not pollute the environment. All these methods if we'll follow, we can sustain the ecosystem properly. We can maintain the environment properly. It will not pollute the environment. Now at present we are going to discuss about few objective bits which are related to today's topic. They are given in the previous national level entrance exams. In primary succession on rocks, the primary species are usually. In primary succession, there are total different options are there. Among these options, pioneer species only, 1 species are there. First option is algae. Algae it is not a pioneer species in primary succession. Next, fungi. It is also not a pioneer species on bare rocks. Lichens, it is a pioneer species. So first to colonize on rocks lichens only. These lichens usually they helps to development of next plant community like bryophytes. But after lichens, bryophytes we can find, but bryophytes also wrong. But lichen is correct option. Next, the sequence of succession is. So here 4 options are there. So already we discussed about succession. It begins with the lichen and it ends with so climax community. That several stages, that sequential several stages, we have to find out correct option among these 4 sequences. So first option, if you'll observe, lichens are there. Next, mosses, grass plants, shrubs, and finally trees. If you'll observe carefully, this option is correct. Usually in the primary succession, first lichens will start already in this bit already we have studied. Lichens helps to development of next plant community, that is mosses. Mosses usually they belongs to bryophytes. Then here grass plants, shrubs. Finally helps to appearance of a plant community, that is climax community, trees. So first option is correct. We'll see the second option why it is wrong means first trees. So usually trees we can find at the climax stage, not at the beginning. So it is wrong. So here if we'll see in the third option, first stage, that is mosses are there. So these mosses we cannot find because on bare rocks first primary succession begins with lichen. So if you'll see here, trees are here in middle stage. Usually huge, large, big trees we can find at the end of succession, that is climax community, you can find trees. But in this option, trees are given a middle stage. So fourth option, if you'll see, trees they are given at second community. So trees always it should be final community, plant community, that is climax community. So all second to fourth option, all these are wrong. Next, related to pollination. So major pollinator in agriculture region. So mainly in agriculture, food production, major important pollinator, they are given here. Different types of pollinators like water is given. Next, bats. Third option, wind. Fourth option, bees. But all these are pollinators only. Bats also involved in pollination. If the bats involved in pollination, the type of pollination is called chiropterophily. But chiropterophily takes place by bats, but it is not major pollinator. So second option, if you will see, water it is hydrophily. If the water it is pollinator, the type of pollination is known as hydrophily. Hydrophily we can see in only water, aquatic plants. Usually in terrestrial plants, we can't find hydrophily. Next, wind pollination, usually it also occurs in some plants like grasses, especially Gramineae poaceae family. But even though it is not major pollinator. Last and final, bees. Already we discussed about bees. Bees plays a vital major role in pollination to carry pollen grains from anther to stigma of the flower. So because bees US, so agriculture region, food production, 15 to 30% agriculture production, mainly that is participated because of bees. And California's agriculture region, we discussed wild bees, they are playing major role. So that may be partial or completely. Finally, so we can say confidently here, bees are major pollinator, so involving for production of food.